morning. Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday. It is the 9th. Welcome to another day in the life. If you're new here, my name is Candace, and I'm the revenue manager, just talking about what I do day to day in detail as much as possible to help other revenue cycle professionals, learn more about the field from my perspective. Today, obviously, I'm going into working. I don't even know if I've explained before that I work 2 days in the office and then the rest remote. So, right now, my office days are Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, I woke up with a little anxiety, angst, if you will, irritation. For one, with my girls, just normal parenting stuff, house stuff. And then two, I was working on this OR case volume report on Tuesday, and I sent it to my boss. Wednesday, I feel, and this could be an exaggeration, but it's how I felt, like she ripped it to shreds. It's like, why is this there? This should be this should be this. How did you get that? And I'm just like, well, you told me to do it this way. And what I figured I would present was, so what I did was I made a graph off of the table. You got to have a table to make a graph. And so I sent her everything just to show her what I made, what I came up with. And sometimes I feel like I have to give her the final product already. Editing Candace here. I gave up talking about the spreadsheet issue with the OR cases. I believe I'll speak on that a little bit later, but in the meantime, here is a clip of my office decorated for my birthday. Here they've decorated my office. There should be a clip of that before this, but I had mentioned at the beginning of the video that I was very upset to the point where I was in tears, because it gets frustrating when you don't really know what the expectations are, and again, when you're training yourself. So I'm trying to get really good at Excel and understanding formulas and things of that nature. Now, I have to present the OR case volume from fiscal years, from multiple fiscal years. The fiscal years from July to June versus a calendar year. And so my intent when presenting was to present the graphs, and then to show my boss what I was doing. I had the graphs on one spreadsheet and then the grid over to the side, just so she could see the data and how I came up with the graphs. So what I did was I took the fiscal years and the volume of each case, and I had the grand total for each month and then the grand total for each year. What's in the graph is just the totals for each month. The grand totals are not included in there because we're trending to see, okay, what was the volume in comparison from May to May each year, and then from fiscal year end. So what we're trending is the fiscal year end from July to June, and then the fiscal year to date, which would be May to May. So where are we with volume from this point? So where are we at in volume at this point compared to this same point last year, May to May. So with that said, so fiscal year end is comparing the entire year versus the prior years. And then fiscal year to date is comparing July to May and the prior years from July to May. So we're doing, that's year to date. So to get fiscal year end, since that is July to June and we're not in June yet, I had to annualize the number of cases for June. And for some reason, I got the formula wrong. So I submitted this spreadsheet to my boss thinking, wow, I got this. This looks great. I got the graphs on here. This would be a good presentation. I got the data to show where I got it from. And when she responded to this, I just felt like she just ripped it apart. First thing was, I don't think we need this column. How do you already have data for June? Well, based on her instructions, she told me to annualize the number. And I made a note on the table and on the graph that fiscal year June 22 was annualized. And so she says column G is the grand total. I don't see the value of adding that. For the grid, identify fiscal year or calendar year. For June, I don't understand how you came up with this number. The annualized number should be this, not that. And then the month of June by itself should be this, not that. It's impossible for that to be an annualized number. And I just read that and I'm just like, I'm more mad at myself than anything, because it's like I put, I did the work. I was really happy with it. I thought it was, 100% correct, and I still did something wrong, and it's so frustrating. And I'm starting to think maybe I can't take constructive criticism. To me, that was constructive, because I feel like she could have said, this looks great, however, here are some things that I noticed was incorrect. This should be this number, and this should be this number. Here's how I got to those numbers. Because when I saw that, I'm like, well, I thought I had the formula right. So when she gave me the numbers, I was able to back into it. But, it's frustrating because it's like, well, she's telling me about the table. I didn't plan on presenting the table. So my response was, my initial thought was to display the graphs and then talk about the numbers. The grid was initially there for the raw data and not to be presented. I will change. I see where I went wrong in the formula. I'll get more clarification on annualizing from my peer. And then I said, what do you want to see presented? Because it appears I'm going in the wrong direction. Like, what do you want? It's like I do this work. This happens all the time. I create these reports and I send it off, and then they come back and say, no, I wanted it this way. Well, why did you say that when you sent me the report request? So needless to say, when I got that feedback, it wasn't feedback, when I was told what I did wrong, I was just kind of crushed, because it's like, I'm just going off of assumptions on how I think people want to see the data. Not familiar with the formula on how to annualize numbers. I would think that's something simple. So I looked at another spreadsheet where the numbers are annualized, and I used that same formula, but I picked the wrong value, or I picked the wrong cell. And so it's just like, another ding on me is what I feel like it is. And then she did come back a little softer, saying with graphs, I typically like to have the legend or a grid below so it tracks with the graph. And I could do this by just inserting the legend onto the table, which I know that. Let me know if you need help with formula for annualizing. You should have told me how you got the numbers the first time, is what I was thinking. So just another learning curve for me, but it's frustrating. Like, sometimes I just feel like this isn't the job for me. Like the revenue, the numbers, the dealing with the reimbursement side specifically is just not my strong point. And I'm trying to make it my strong point, but maybe it's just not there. So what I've been doing so far this morning is preparing that major spreadsheet that I've talked about before. I had needed to update that entire spreadsheet to include May data. And then I need to validate that with some other reports to make sure the numbers tie. And then if there's dips in revenue and things like that, I need to drill down on specific accounts, focusing on the high dollar accounts, because that's what impacts the reimbursement the most, and then see what the status is of those accounts. So that's what I have going on today. I also have a monthly revenue manager meeting. I don't need to be on camera for that, but I may or may not turn it on. I don't know. And that's at 1 o'clock. So I haven't had any hiccups with updating that big report yet, unless I find a variance between this spreadsheet and another report that I have to validate the data against. And then between now and next week, I need to present the slide or prepare the slides for the finance meeting, and that OR case report is part of that meeting. And then just figure out some creative ways to present, more information. And with that OR case report, I still need to pull in the work RVUs so that I can have that information on hand when asked about it. I don't need to present it, but I need to know it. All right. Oh, that number is pulling from, it's not been updating because these numbers are pulling from that column in this tab. Oh, wow, I've come to a revelation. So I was actually able to figure out how to annualize the numbers, and it was comforting to know that even my peer we both had to stumble through it to figure out the right answer. So she definitely helped me figure out the correct formula and how to get that into the table, because the first scenario I presented her with, we had all the data up until June. Then I said, well, what if I only have 1 month, which is July, starting the first month of the fiscal year, and then I need to annualize for the rest of the year. And so it actually was a simple formula, but both of us kept getting the order of operations wrong as far as what number to divide versus what number to multiply by, and things of that nature. So I got that all figured out, and that's good. Now I need to figure out why I have a $2,000 variance. It's small, but if those numbers are not right, it's going to get noticed, and I need to have an explanation for it. So I was actually able to figure out how to annualize the numbers, and it was comforting to know that even my peer we both had to stumble through it to figure out the right answer. So she definitely helped me figure out the correct formula and how to get that into the table, because the first scenario I presented her with, we had all the data up until June. Then I said, well, what if I only have 1 month, which is July, starting the first month of the fiscal year, and then I need to annualize for the rest of the year. And so it actually was a simple formula, but both of us kept getting the order of operations wrong as far as what number to divide versus what number to multiply by, and things of that nature. So I got that all figured out, and that's good. Now I need to figure out why I have a $2,000 variance. It's small, but if those numbers are not right, it's going to get noticed, and I need to have an explanation for it. Okay, random. I just looked, and 2 of my videos have 1,000 views each. Oh my gosh, that many people are clicking and are interested in what I have to say. That's amazing. I love that outreach that I'm able to do. So I just had to pause and take a moment and say that, because I was just like, wow. Okay, back to work. Okay, so I thought I had the information down for annualizing the year. Because I need the number for June, that was much easier. But say I start with, if I want to project for fiscal year 23, which starts July 2022, I need to look at it historically and get the average, or I can do it based on trends of what we've seen, you know, what occurs in July versus what occurs in December. Like in December, providers are out on vacation, so the number in cases may drop, or some providers may pick up those cases where the surgeon is out, or doing a weighted average. And so those types of things, my colleague told me, peer, y'all know I'll be talking about the same person. She said that she's done it several times. She's been doing this for a year, but my organization just has their own way of doing things. So it just depends on how they want to look at it, what your assumptions are your assumptions to look at it historically, or is the assumption to look at the average? Do we want to take into consideration those external and internal factors? So I definitely learned a lot. Now I just need to sit in it, absorb, and, you know, practice it. When you don't do it every day, it's really hard to retain that knowledge. She does it every day, so she can do it. It comes easy to her, and she's a whiz at math anyway. I had a chuckle in my head because she was saying, you know, we're getting into fractions, and this is 5th grade math. I can't do my daughter's 5th grade math homework, okay? When I look at a fraction, I'm like, calculator me, please. So, but when you're taking that into consideration with formulas, for me personally, it's difficult. For somebody else, it wouldn't be difficult. So, with that said, I'm going to go get me a snack, which is M&M's. Hello, it is now 4:59. Today was a decent day. Can't complain. I learned a lot from my co-worker, colleague here. And come on, Suge Knight. And it was really good. So what she was teaching me basically was financial modeling, and I'm not familiar with any of that. It was also good to know that, you know, these are things that she had to teach herself too. Although she went to school for accounting, she has her CPA, I believe. But I feel like in my program in healthcare administration, I didn't get that finance background that I wish I would have gotten, and that I probably would have received if I got my MBA. Like, if I had to do it all over again, I would have got my RHIT and then get my bachelor's in healthcare administration, and then my master's in business administration and have my MBA. I don't even know if I would have my RHIA right now if it wasn't for AHIMA's program.
to where I was eligible to sit. I had never seen a HEMA do that before, and I got my RHIT back in 2011. So, but that's what I would do if I could. At the end of the day, I had a nice conversation with another colleague of mine, and that was really nice. It was uplifting, and she gave me some words of encouragement about my job and things like that, because I get to these points where I'm in tears, and she's like, girl, you got to stop doing that. And I'm like, I know we're on the right track to helping one of our providers with his medical record needs and things of that nature. So I say this every time, and I never do it. When I go home, I have to grade papers. Like, I text my husband, I said, do not let me forget, do not let me fall asleep. I have to grade. I have to. Ooh, and I need to answer some student emails as well. Ooh, child. So yes, I have to work when I get home. And it's taken me so long to do this Certified Revenue Cycle Representative course through HFMA that I need to study for and then still take the test for. So really thought that I would be, on that every day, but that's taken a lot of effort than what I anticipated. I'm going too fast. All right, so that's really all I have for this afternoon. So, well, I think that's all I have for the rest of this afternoon. So thank you so much for tuning in, for your support, your likes, comments, subscriptions, your questions. I really appreciate it. I really do. I'm gonna get off of here before I get to a fender bender. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time.